Welcome to the JRPG Canon. I'm Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard.
And more than likely, you're new around here. So here's the gist of what this series is all about. So let's have a short thought experiment. Let's say you wanted to learn everything there is to learn about JRPGs. Would you be better served by playing only Persona 5 Royal for 200 hours, which How Long to Beat says is the leisurely pace for the main campaign and extras? Or would you be better served by playing 100 JRPGs for 2 hours each?
The correct answer is to play Dragon Quest III for about 30 hours.
True, but we'll get there eventually. But if you played 100 JRPGs for 2 hours each, you wouldn't be able to beat every JRPG, but you would be able to play enough to get it and understand what each game was about. So I invite you, listener and viewer, to join me in this relaunch of my journey to do just that. Play a little bit of a video game and then talk about what I learned about video games from it. Since I've already covered Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and Fire Emblem in the audio version of this podcast, which if you're watching on video, all of the audio ones are available on the RPG Book Club podcast feed. But because I've already done those games, I only have a few foundational games in the genre left to choose from. So today we will be playing the first 2 hours of Phantasy Star for the Sega Master System. But first, a little history on the game. Alright, so it's a known fact that the Master System was trailing behind the NES in the 80s. So after the release of Dragon Quest II, and that sold gangbusters for the NES, Sega was like, I need an RPG on my desk by Monday morning. We need one for the Master System so we can keep up. So they solicited ideas from all of their internal teams, and the scenario writer Chieko Aoki had a story idea that they had been mulling over for a while, and the programmer and future criminal Yuji Naka, as well as gameplay designer Kotaro Hayashida, and character designer Reiko Kodama, all had been wanting to make an RPG, so they adapted Chieko's story into what would eventually become Phantasy Star. The name Phantasy Star seems fairly straightforward. That's what you would call this game. That's a fantasy game in space. But it actually took them a long time to come up with the name. And in the end, it was because Yuji Naka was a huge fan of the idol singer Noriko Sakai. And she has a song, Nagisa no Fantasy, which had the English word fantasy in it. And it got that stuck in Yuji Naka's head. So he's playing with the word fantasy and eventually landed on Phantasy Star. And it fit, so the name stuck.
That is such a roundabout way to get there.
It really is. Like the Shmuplations interview that I was reading to write these notes. The first question was like, so Phantasy Star, it's because it's a fantasy game in space, right? And they're like, actually, it's stupider than that.
It's literally just Final Fantasy Star Wars. Of course it should be Phantasy Star.
Yeah. Miki Morimoto, a designer who's credited as assistant coordinator on this game, but like also has design credits in the rest of the series. It's kind of big at Sega. They bring up in that interview that Sega didn't really have like departments at the time, and the vibe of the development room for the Phantasy Star team was more of a like teacher and pupil system, where the older employees like Yoshiki Kawasaki, who did the sprites for Flicky, were teaching newcomers like Reiko Kodama how to do graphics, which is crazy to think about. That without Flicky, we wouldn't have Skies of Arcadia. But so the whole team was in the same room, and they didn't have cubicles. They were all just hanging out and vibing the whole time. And Morimoto says that the Sega-ness of the games of the time come from this camaraderie first system that they had in place. Later in the interview, Hayashida says that the success of Phantasy Star comes down to the fact that the team had no restrictions or control on them from Sega. Sega just wanted an RPG. After that, they could do whatever they wanted. So they were able to just vibe out and chase their whimsy and do whatever looked cool and seemed cool. And Hayashida's whimsy was to do things that the Famicom couldn't do. So that's the only reason that Phantasy Star has smooth scrolling 3D dungeons, because the Famicom absolutely would not have been able to do it. And then an important thing that sets Phantasy Star apart from its contemporaries is the relatively large amount of women on staff. There are 10 people total, and Reiko Kodama, the main character designer, Miki Morimoto, the assistant coordinator, and Chieko Aoki, the scenario writer, were all very important to the game, and that was 30% of the staff of the game. There were only 10 people, and so three of them being women was huge because at the time Dragon Quest staff had one woman on staff whose credit is only assisted by in the credits. She was Rika Suzuki. She later went on to write the scenario for Trace Memory and Hotel Dusk and another code. So like she probably was
Really?
do she probably was doing stuff, but and not like the coffee getter or something like that. But still, the only credit was assisted by all of the main jobs were not by women, and they had a development staff of 15 people, so that's only 7% of the staff was women compared to Fantasy Star's 30%. Yes, it's only two more people, but it's still the level of jobs that they got are still way up there comparatively.
And also, 80s video game industry, we're grading on a curve.
Yeah, definitely. And then to top everything off, this game had a female protagonist when I think the next female protagonist in a video game was Lightning in Final Fantasy 13.
No,
But
that you're being silly.
being very silly, but it still was a very long time. There's kind of nothing else like this at the time. So, uh, with that, let's go see what this game is all about. Video viewers, you're about to watch my blind playthrough of the game, and audio listeners, you should either go check out the VOD or play 2 hours of the game yourself before we come back after the break so we can sum up our thoughts on this opening chapter. Otherwise, one of the changes that we're doing in this one is we're not doing a summary of our 2 hours. We're doing a video playback of our 2 hours. It makes it a lot easier for me to get these finished, and that's the main goal. So
Well, we hope that it'll make it easier. We haven't actually done it yet. This is the
yeah,
first one. Might
this is
end
the
up
first
being
one.
excruciatingly difficult. You never know.
It might be. So we'll see. But after the short break, we will be right back. All right. So my main takeaway for Fantasy Star is balancing a JRPG is really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done it. It could be that it's easy and they just were really bad at it, but it is definitely possible to be bad at it or to be good at it.
Yes. Like I love that this game had real small numbers like a Dragon Quest because it really showed how bad the math was because it should be having similar math to Dragon Quest because the numbers are the same size and it's not even close.
Yeah, so we spent like an hour just sort of trying to do literally anything in the original version, and it was
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah, like there were uh right at the beginning there were several times where I would go out to fight a scorpion, have to use one, maybe two colas to survive the fight, be given 8 gold, which is not enough to buy a single cola, and I would be in near death and have to go back and do it again. So I was at a net loss of number go up, which is not ideal.
Yeah, it made me appreciate Dragon Quest a lot.
Yeah. And then when we switched over to the Ages version, they fixed up the rewards math. If anything, they were too generous on the rewards math. But then they also messed with the encounter rate, and I felt like I never saw any monsters in the Ages version. Like notably, that one time when I escaped from the Peninsula Cave and ran into like two or three and was able to run away from them, there just was not a lot of fighting this time around. And I think that if it had the original encounter rate, or at least a like normalized encounter rate, so instead of being between 1 and 1,000 steps, maybe it was between 10 and 100 steps. Uh, I think it would have been fine with the increased rewards. I think it would have felt fine. They probably could have not given us so much gold per battle or whatever. I feel they could have fixed the math even better for the Ages version, which is more proof that Balancing a JRPG is hard.
Yes, I would. If you're an absolute sicko, you're probably going, "Oh no, I am definitely going to play the original version if I play this game." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cute. You can try the original version. Try and have fun with that. If you do have fun with that, I'm very happy for you, but I don't think you will.
Yeah,
But if you want to enjoy the great music and graphics and just aesthetic and everything, then the Aegis version is there."
yeah. I am a sicko, and I will not play the Master System part again. Even when I was saying when we switched to the ages that like I was missing something from drawing my own maps. That's not enough for me to go back and and play the original. It was brutal to get going at all, and not in the way that like if it would have been a actual Dragon Quest, I think it having bad math would have been okay because I would feel more comfortable like trying something because I would if I lost I would lose gold, but I would uh keep my experience or whatever. I feel like that would have made the math not hurt as bad, but as it was, it was not fun on the Master System version.
Yes, so important to note that when Sam calls a JRPG a Dragon Quest, what he means is that
Yes.
when you die, you don't get a game over, you get transported back to your last save with your experience and stuff still intact.
Mhm.
This is a shorthand he has devised and is using without necessarily explaining.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that this is a relaunch where we're potentially going to meet new people, and I just keep making references to the 7-year-old podcast. But the battles themselves were not bad though. The backgrounds were all gorgeous. The sprite graphics were all amazing. Reiko Kodama, good at their job. Who'da thunk it? Um I also really liked how fluid all of the animations were, even if it was like one out of every three just made me really uncomfortable. Way too many monsters fight with their tongue in Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
I also liked that the animations were meticulous, but they were fast because so many JRPGs like Pokemon and Digimon, one of the first things I do is turn off the battle animations because they just take so long and they're just wasting my time. And it's like I saw the cool one time and I'm over it. So turn it off. And I never felt like anything was outstaying its welcome here, even the weird tongue ones. I also really liked like I specifically liked the vibe of this game being a note-taking game. Obviously, in the original, you were drawing your own maps, so you were likely to be writing notes anyways. And like all of the NPCs give you hints, but it like very rarely are where they like go to the cave, you'll need the fire rod, and just tell you exactly what it is. But there were two times while we were playing where I was able to piece together the what to do next, and it wasn't from any of the ones that were like there's a cave to the west of Perilit. It was ones where they're like, oh, we saw Odin with a little animal, and then I sold a weird talking animal to Paseo, and I was able to put those things together of like, oh, I should go to Paseo and find the animal that was worth Odin, and then I can go save Odin. And then again with the we were kind of lost after the peninsula dungeon where it didn't give us anything, and we're like, well, what do we do? And then I was like, wait, someone did mention the governor on Paseo, but that's probably something where we need to go, and it was in fact the next part on the critical path. Despite them all being incredibly curt, like 5 words per text box, and that's the only text box they get pretty much. Do love the like not obvious way that they were all throwing down hints the whole time.
Yes, and the fact that they had so little to work with, so little space, made it
Hmm.
very funny because uh, just completely unnatural speech
Yeah.
from all these people, just like the weirdest possible things to say to a stranger.
One I wrote down because I loved it so much was I heard that there are Motavians on Motavia and Druxians on Druxus.
Dazorians?
Dazorians. I couldn't remember what it was. It was already off screen when I jotted it down. But yeah, Dazorians
Okay.
on Dazorus something.
Yes.
But yeah, they're It just the every single NPC I talked to, I enjoyed the interaction in some way. I either thought it was funny, or I thought it was cute, or I thought it was interesting what they were telling me, or something, which is hard to do on a Master System cartridge. That they were pushing the limits of a 4 megabyte cartridge at the time.
Is that how big the Phantasy Star cartridge was?
I believe so. That's what I think it said in the shmuplations I was reading.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's very, very small. But I also want to call out the music in this game as being incredibly fantastic. We did half of our playthrough with the bleep loops. I don't know what you call that synthesizer, but then we did the other half with the FM synth, and both of them were really good in different ways. Uh, like on the Genesis, almost everybody who isn't Sega made some of the shittiest music that you will find in the history of video games, because FM synths are crotchety and a little weird, but Sega's really good at it. And so switching from the bleep bloops, which were really good, to the FM synth was also really good in a surprisingly different way. Like it didn't just feel like switching from like a MIDI track to an orchestrated track or something, where it's just like more but the same thing. They like all felt incredibly different. Some standout tracks that I really liked were the dungeons and the church in the FM synth version, and then I prefer the overworld in the bleep bloop version. It feels like adventure when in that overworld theme. It's so good.
Yeah.
So, in short, I think that this game earns its place in the JRPG canon because it tries a whole bunch of weird things, and it doesn't stick a landing on all of them, but every new thing I uncovered brought a smile to my face. The graphics and the vibes, and the fact that literally no other RPG was doing this sort of story with this sort of characters at this sort of scale at the time, absolutely would have made this a hidden gem on the NES, but because it's one of two, count them, two JRPGs on the Master System, it wasn't hidden. It was elevated that way. And I feel like that's kind of Sega's JRPG vibe, like their whole existence, is where they have the vibes of some weird hidden gem, but because they're the biggest thing coming out of Sega, it's like, oh yeah, we're Yakuza is now one of the biggest things, and it is the weirdo freakest game of all weirdo freaks. Will I continue playing Phantasy Star? Probably not. I enjoyed my time with the Aegis version, but I feel like I got it out of what I played. I don't think I need to see it to the end. I feel like I'm going to get more of this. I definitely recommend people try it out, especially on the Aegis version, especially when it goes on sale. It's like, I think I got it for like $5 on a sale one time. So it's definitely worth the cost of admission, even if you don't finish it. One thing that was in the shmuplations, but we didn't get close enough to, is there were not a lot of JRPGs out at the time. Like Dragon Quest II was out, and Final Fantasy, as we know, came out like a month or two before.
2 days.
2 days before. But they already were like tired of JRPG tropes, which is a weird thing. And they're like, oh, you always get the boat, and then you go out on the ocean, and then you always get the airship, which can help you get over the mountains. And we decided instead we were going to give you a drill, and you can just destroy the mountains to get across. Which is crazy that they were reacting to JRPG tropes when there were maybe a handful, which is very cool. But anything you want to say before we wrap up today's episode?
No.
Cool. So if you like what you heard today and you're not already subscribed to RPG Book Club, you can check us out wherever you get your podcasts. After subscribing, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will help us offset the cost of running the show, like the capture card that I had to go out and buy so that we could switch to the Switch version halfway through this episode. If you donate $1 or more a month, you can get access to our bonus feed, which has after shows for every episode of the podcast, as well as bonus seasons of the show that cover the Tales of series and the Star Ocean series. If you donate $5 or more a month, you'll also get your name shouted out at the end of every episode, a little like this. Shoutouts to Dragonslayer19, Freddy Rodriguez, and J-Fro Prime. And then finally, at $20 or more a month, you can make me say one sentence shout out to whatever it is that you like, such as El Tantivy, who wants you to check out Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. As well as Kale who says to check out Podcasters Assemble. It's a documentary-style, crowdsourced movie hype and rewatch podcast. Every season, podcasters from around the world are assembled to review, reminisce, and riff on a popular franchise. And then shouts to Vimk, who says, the cohort's not going to care about that, though. And then shoutouts to It's Clear Time, who says, for you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game, I just think it's neat. For the JRPG Canon, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
Go play some games.